SMEs and skills development. Initially fully owned by the SEDC, the SEIC is structured to transition into public-private partnerships, opening equity participation to state government, private investors, the Nigerian diaspora, and development finance institutions. The structure is intended to expand its financial reach and operational efficiency while remaining anchored in regional development priorities. During a ceremony in Abuja, President Tinubu formally presented the SEIC's Certificate of Incorporation, signaling a major step towards inclusive prosperity in Anambra, Abia, Ebonyi, Enugu, and Imo State. Officials say the SEC will serve as a model for similar regional initiatives aiming to build investor confidence, attract sustainable capital, and foster broad-based economic transformation across the Southeast. Now, the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, has introduced a new licensing framework designed to foster innovations and support emerging digital services in the telecom and tech sector. Announced during a stakeholders forum in Abuja, the policy will enable startups and non-traditional service providers to operate within a more flexible regulatory environment. The framework is rooted in existing legislations, the Nigerian Communication Commissions Act 2003 and the 2019 licensing regulations, but offers a modernized approach to accommodate the country's rapidly evolving digital landscape. It specifically targets growth areas such as fintech, smart services, and digital identity systems, which often fall outside traditional licensing categories. NCC leadership emphasized collaboration, calling on telcos, tech companies, academics, and civil society to contribute to refining the framework. This inclusive approach is expected to yield a dynamic telecom ecosystem, strengthen digital inclusion, and maintain Nigeria's lead as technology powerhouse in Africa. Now the Nigerian government is intensifying efforts to revitalize its local paint and coating industry, aiming to attract both domestic and foreign investment as part of a broader industrialization strategy. At West Africa Coating Show in Lagos, officials from the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, the Standard Organization of Nigeria, SON, and Raw Materials Research and Development Council highlighted opportunities across the production value chain. Central to the initiative is a focus on backward integration, reducing import dependence by sourcing and processing raw materials locally. The government sees this as a pathway to job creation, increased GDP contribution, and reduce foreign exchange pressures. Industry stakeholders noted that Nigeria currently imports a large share of its inputs, signaling both a vulnerability and a growth opportunity. Speakers at the event called for policy incentives and infrastructure investments to help manufacturers scale and invest in local supply chain. A successful transition could elevate the Nigerian paint industry to regional leadership in West Africa's industrial landscape while aligning with national goals to diversify the economy beyond oil. The Dangote refinery has suspended its discounted fuel distribution scheme following the discovery of a widespread fraud by affiliated marketers. The program, which aimed to provide fuel at reduced prices to ease consumer costs, was reportedly exploited through fake loading tickets and diversion of products to unauthorized resellers. Investigations revealed that discounted fuel intended for approved outlets was sold at higher margins by unauthorized dealers, disrupting market stability and undermining the refinery's goal. These resellers did not contribute to infrastructure or logistics, yet capitalized on illicit access to subsidized fuel. In response, Dangote Industry has launched an internal audit and announced plans to overhaul its supply monitoring system. The incident highlights persistent challenges in Nigeria's downstream fuel sector, including regulatory lapses, collusion, and poor enforcement. The refinery is expected to introduce stricter controls to prevent future abuse and ensure transparency in distribution. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll bring you more stories. Please stay tuned. Welcome back. The United States Congress has passed a controversial $9 billion budget cut targeting foreign aid and public broadcasting, aligning with President Donald Trump's push for a leaner federal budget. The bill narrowly passed the House with a 216 to 213 vote and now awaits President's signature. Republicans hail the move as a down payment on broader fiscal reforms, while critics noted its contradiction with previous domestic spending hikes that worsen national debt levels. A major component of the bill includes slashing a $1.1 billion from the corporation for public broadcasting over the next 2 years. This will likely impact educational programming and local media services. In addition, billions in aid for crisis-hit countries, such as those facing war, pandemics, or natural disasters, have been removed, sparking criticism from international and aid groups. Though the cuts are far less than the $1 trillion annual savings once promised by former advisor Elon Musk, the bill signals a philosophical shift in U.S. policy priorities. Musk, who resigned earlier after clashing with Trump on spending issues, had championed more aggressive austerity measures. This bill is now seen as a trial balloon for more sweeping cuts to come. Now, the European Union has approved its 18th sanction package against Russia, introducing stricter economic penalties to cut Moscow's funding for the war in Ukraine. Central to new measures is a new revision of the oil price cap on Russian export, which will now be set at 15% below the global market rate rather than a fixed amount. Slovakia, previously opposed to the deal, agreed to support after winning concessions on Russian gas phase-out. The updated cap begins at around $47.60 per barrel and will adjust every 6 months to reflect global oil prices. EU leaders hope this dynamic pricing model will close loopholes in the original $60 cap set in 2022. The bloc is also anticipating support from G7 countries to strengthen enforcement across global shipping and finance network. Further sanctions target Russia's shadow fleet, block transactions linked to Nord Stream pipelines, and penalize firms involved in sanctions trade. These additions are designed to prevent evasion tactics seen in earlier packages. Despite internal disagreement, the EU's unified action sends a strong message of continued support for Ukraine and a commitment to economic pressure on Russia. Now, in a significant diplomatic gesture, the European Union has eased Schengen visa requirements for Turkish nationals beginning July 15. Eligible travelers will now be able to apply for multiple entry visas valid up to 5 years based on their travel history and compliance with past visa terms. The change marks a major breakthrough in EU-Turkey relations, especially since Turkey is the only EU candidate country still facing full visa restrictions. EU Ambassador Thomas Hansen-Muski announced the update in Ankara, calling it a key step towards trust building and possible future talks on full visa liberation. Turkish officials welcomed the development and urged for further dialogue on broader cooperation, including updates to custom union agreement to cover services and e-commerce through 6 criteria on the EU's visa roadmap remain unmet. The European Commission signaled openness to renewed engagement after summer. The visa move is expected to benefit Turkish business travelers, students, and frequent visitors, while also potentially unlocking stalled negotiations around Turkey's EU accession and trade expansion. Now, gold prices inched higher on July 18, 2025, buoyed by a softening U.S. dollar and persistent geopolitical risk. Spot gold climbed 0.4% to $3,350 per ounce after falling 1.1% the day before, while U.S. future gained 0.3%. Still, gold recorded slightly weekly loss of 0.1%, restrained by strong U.S. economic data that tempered demand for safe havens. The dollar 0.4% decline made gold more attractive to international buyers, though the currency was still on pace for its second weekly gain. Analysts said robust retail sales and falling jobless claims pointed to the economic resilience, lowering expectations for additional Federal Reserve's intervention, and slightly cooling gold's appeal. Other precious metals outperformed gold. Platinum rose 0.3% to $1,461.77 per ounce, its highest level since 2014, on the back of supply concerns. Palladium surged 4% to $1,329.88, while silver advanced 0.5% to $38. The mixed movement across metals underscores a complex interplay of currency dynamics, industrial demand, and inflation hedging strategies. In the maidens' world of sport, Nigeria's Super Falcons will clash Zambia's Copper Queens today at 5 p.m. in Casablanca in one of the most anticipated matches, the Women's Africa Cup of Nations quarterfinals. Nigeria, 9-time champion, will rely on their defensive structure and tournament experience, while Zambia's attack, led by Barbara Banda and Raquel Kukadanji, poses a serious threat. With pace and creativity, the Falcons are expected to stay compact defensively and exploit Zambia on set pieces and counters. Conversely, Zambia will aim to break down Nigeria's backline with swift movement and direct play. It's a tactical battle that could shape the semifinals and crown a new continental powerhouse later tonight. Morocco will face Mali at 8 p.m. and Rabat. Morocco will look to leverage home support and disciplined defending, while Mali hopes to disrupt with quick transitions and greater resilience. With national pride and tournament survival online, both fixtures promise drama, intensity, and thrilling African football movement. Many thanks for watching. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms. I am Olumide Shokoya. Enjoy the rest of your day.